Hi, welcome to Tuesday Talk. We have a lot of stuff to do tonight, so let's get right to it. I'm going to pull this down a little bit. Got a little glasses glare there going on. Tonight we are going to make some geode coasters and a geode tray. So I have this great big mold here, and a lot of people are doing this now. They're making these geode coasters, and I'm a little late to the party, but we'll do this for you tonight. And I think this is going to be the favorite DIY Christmas gift this year. So I'm going to show you what I've already done. I made one. So I'm going to pop this out of the mold. I cheated a little. I had it out there already. But so this is using Lumelite's amazing casting resin. This is what the box looks like. It's a 2-part epoxy. You mix parts A and part B, and it dries white, and it dries in about 20 minutes. So there's other stuff out there that made by the same company. They do a clear as well, but that cures in a day or two. So this is what you want if you want to use it in molds that you want to pull out right away and paint. Okay, so these are paintable. And the other ones, it's nice to embed stuff in it, like little flowers or, things like that, because it dries clear. So what I want to do, since I made this, I just opened this box. So I poured, what comes in the box is a couple of these little cups. They're like little medicine cups. And I wrote part A and part B. I just put A and B on the little cups. You can see that, just used a Sharpie. And so this is A and this is B. You always want to mix equal parts. So because, here's my theory. Okay, so this is maybe about a third of this. So I used one each of those measuring cups. So maybe if we do, I think what I'd like to do to start, because this is so big, I think the mistakes that I've made in the past was mixing too much altogether. Because oddly enough, the larger the mold is, the faster it sets up. You would think it would be the opposite. So when I'm mixing, it gets really hot and it sets up right away before I'm even done pouring it. So I'm not going to make that mistake again. What I think I'll do is mix one of each and get a base coat going, and then pour two more. So I'm going to set the coaster aside because I'd love to get at least one more coaster out of this, and I'll obviously have to get some more so that I'd like a set of 4 coasters to go with it. The way I want it to look, I have all kinds of Dixie Belle paint here that I want to mix some colors. I thought it'd be kind of cool to do sort of like a blend actually on the coaster, or kind of do it like I've aced cookies, just pull through the colors and just kind of make them all look really little psychedelic, or kind of like they do in a geode. And then gold around the edges. So on the tray, I have a couple of handles that we're going to put in the tray. So we're just going to set that right in the mold. And I'm going to pull the screen down in a second and show you. But I wanted to show you another handle that I had, and why I made the decision I did to go with these handles. These ones were actually older. They're like from old cabinets. And I just put a coat of gold. I used Moonshine Metallics in Gold Digger from Dixie Belle. And I am going to put another coat on the top, a second coat. But I wanted to show you this other handle that I was going to use. This is a little bit more modern. But the problem with this one is I would have to put screws in it, and that would be okay, but they were too long and it would have been up above where the mold is. So the other thing too is I would have had to go with silver paint if I was going to use these. So I think it's a better decision to go with the older one. So I'm going to put the screen down so you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to take part A, and I'm leaving my mold over here to the left. So it is kind of off the screen a little bit. I'll try to, when I'm ready to pour, I'll try to move it over a little. Actually, I'll leave it like that for now because I'm not going to be able to move this mold when it's wet. So, but if it sets up as fast as I think it will, it won't be wet for long. Okay, I'm just making sure that there's no junk in the mold. Shook it out a little bit. And I want to kind of space these sort of evenly in here. Kind of close to the edges, but not too close. And in the middle. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So I'm going to take my part A, and I'm filling this cup pretty much full. There is a mark on there. Then I'm going to take part B. Do the same thing. You always want to make sure that you have the same amount. That's another mistake I made in the past. Yes, I have gotten this so hot that we had to run outside with it. So, so I have a yogurt cup here that I'm just pouring these into. Pour both parts in there. Pull this up a second. I do want to act a little fast, but I just want you to see what I'm doing. And I'm just taking the stick that comes with it and just mixing it up. Now, I'm in a white cup, so it's kind of hard to see, but it gets kind of cloudy, and then it'll go clear. And it only takes a few minutes to do that. So I'm going to pour this first layer in here, and then we'll go ahead and mix up another batch and pour another layer. I'd hope I'd have enough to do another coaster so you can see that. I'm going to set that aside and kind of angle this a little bit. I feel like there's stuff in there, but I want to go ahead and get this in here. Okay, obviously not enough. So I'm going to hurry up and mix some more. I think I'm going to do 2 parts each this time. Okay. Part A. I'm going to do this really fast because I think it's going to set up really fast. I want you to see what I'm doing, but I also want to be able to hurry up and swing that around so I can pour it right away. So as long as these two aren't mixed together, they're not, you don't have to rush. But once you mix them together, that's when the clock starts ticking. Okay, so pouring part B, clock starting to tick. Okay, so they're both in there. Gonna get my stick and start stirring. Let it go from cloudy to clear. Now, my table also doesn't look like it's really level. So we're going to have to make sure there's enough epoxy in it to cover that. Doesn't have to be perfect because obviously the edges are irregular. So it's really not that crucial. But I'm going to go ahead and pour some more. Okay, gonna go for another one. My first inclination was it was going to need like 4 times what I poured in the coaster. And then I thought, well, maybe it's just a third. So I think this last one will do it. This doesn't need to be a real heavy tray. I'm thinking it's more like a dresser tray, or you could put, cheese and crackers on it or something. It's not like a tray that you would put drinks on or anything. Okay, you can feel this stuff get warm in the container. Just kind of cool. It's doing its thing. It is also cool when you see this stuff set up. Oh gosh, this is starting to set up over here. And I still feel like I need more, so I'm really rushing to beat the clock again. I'm going to go ahead and do 2. I think I'll still have enough for a coaster. I got these molds from Wish, by the way. So can you see how that's turning white in the corners? It's really setting up quickly. Okay, and this is a bigger batch, so this is going to go quicker too, but this will just make it nice and thicker. And if I can concentrate over on, it would be the left of the screen, I guess, because that, I guess my table is uneven, and or it could be the paper that I have on it or whatever. It's making it uneven. But I've missed a spot over here, so I'm going to get that. And I'm just going to try to focus this on this end, get a little more down here, and hopefully it'll stay down here. All right, I'm excited about this one. Okay, so Houston, we have a problem here. This is not going to be even. I'm going to try, see it's setting up. Okay. Okay, so it's not going to be even. Unless I get this over here. Either way, it is not going to be even. It's okay. It'll be a dresser tray or something where being level doesn't really matter. So we're going to make it part of our artwork, part of our piece. So you can see that this side is setting up a lot quicker than that side. I think you can see that. And boy, there's some heat coming off of here. I'd love to be able to turn it, but this side would be okay. But this side is, well, now you can see it setting up a little bit. Try to get it closer. Just where it's liquid, I don't want to knock over these handles. Okay, so patience is not one of my virtues, but I'm gonna come back over here a second And I'm going to grab my coaster mold again, and let's mix up another coaster. So I'll try gently to move this out of the way. Like I said, I'd love to turn this around a little bit, trying so it evens out a little. So I guess you could probably pour another layer on the top, even when it's after it's molded. Ours is just going to have some texture. That's all, textured. So I'm going to put this down a second, and we'll do a coaster here. This is pretty straightforward because there's no handle in here. It's small. I know how much it's going to use. It's the B. Here's the A. The last time I did this, I mean, it seems like you should have the same amount in each bottle, but always, always measure, because I just dumped, equal parts in when it was down at the bottom, assuming that it would be even. And that's when I had problems. So, of course, I was using a larger quantity. So I think it's best to work with small quantities on this. I've heard stories of people that were just saying they thought they were going to catch their house on fire. And that's why I was afraid and ran outside with it. Okay, so I have this mixed up, and I'm just going to pour right to the edges of the coaster. Okay, so not bad. Out of one package, there potentially could be enough for another coaster. Maybe a small one or something, but I'll just save this and do some earrings. But you can see that there's almost twice as much of part A left, maybe you can't see, as there is part B. And that's not good. At least, if you just don't dump the bottles in, assuming that you have the same amount. So, I'm picking this up a little bit. It's still a little flexible, so obviously it's not set, but it is white. So that means it's well on its way. My hands are a little sticky here. This stuff does get a little sticky. So, in order for me to be patient, I will occupy myself by painting my coaster that's all ready to go. So, of course, I put this right in front of my workspace. So I'm going to try to make some room here. Can't wait to unmold that tray. Like I said, we're just gonna make it part of it that it's uneven. It's a first try, so one thing I would recommend is probably doing half and half, maybe making sure it's a lot more level. The reason why I say make it half and half is because I didn't have enough to get it evenly one layer. If I had a one even layer, then I would feel confident that we'd have something a little flatter. But we're just going to make it work. Okay, moving this mold out of the way. And let's get our other one here. So my thought process is going to use a base coat of sawmill gravy, and then I'm going to put some other pretty colors around and just kind of use a stick and swirl them together a little bit, and then use some of the Moonshine Metallics Gold around the edge. So I think that'll be pretty. So I'm going to put the screen down and do a little painting. So this is the base color that I want to use, is Sawmill Gravy from Dixie Belle. Can you see how that's setting up over here? So I'm kind of thinking this is going to be a little bit like cookie icing. I'm going to kind of layer it on a little bit thick, but not too much paint because I'm going to be putting a lot more paint on it. Okay, so there's a base coat, and I want to work with it while it's still wet. And I have a couple other colors here. I have Flamingo from Dixie Belle. And I think I'm just going to try to pour a little bit of paint on here. Okay, this one's a little bit older, so it's a little set up, a little thicker. So I'll just do it that way. Get some paint out on here. And this is Dixie Belle Blue. I've been using these paints all summer. Well, yeah, all summer. Oh my gosh, I can't believe, when you talk about the time, how fast time goes. But this whole quarantine, I can't believe it's like almost a year that we've had to do that. I guess it's not quite a year, but it feels like a year, right? I mean, it started kind of in February, I think, didn't it? Feel free to comment. Love it when you guys comment and we have a little conversation. This is vintage duck egg, and I do have my screen down now, so if you do comment, I'm not seeing it for a minute or two until I put the screen back up. Okay, I'm not sure what this is looking like to anybody, but we're just playing. Experimenting. Having some fun. Let's get this bright green in here, and then I'm going to try to just work these all together. Little color. So if you were given this as a gift, you would probably be wanting to think about the decor of the recipient of your gift. Okay. What do you use here? I'm going to use the handle of this. Well, actually, this is really an old crappy paintbrush. I feel the heat from this one, and you can see it's all white now. I'm just going to kind of swirl a little bit. I'm just going to kind of keep working it until it's flat into the edges. Okay, I have a lot of paint there, and I don't see much of that flamingo. It's in there a little bit, but you know what? I might leave this extra paint on here. Well, maybe not a good idea for coasters. I was going to say to mimic some of the surface that we'll have on the tray, but these might be two different gifts, right? Two different offerings. Maybe just a set of 4 coasters and then a tray that might be a jewelry tray or something. Okay, I put a lot of vintage duck egg on, so this other paint is kind of getting a little lost, but it's there. I don't want to keep adding paint. Okay, so there's that. Just setting all this stuff aside. And I'm going to put this up a second and see how we're doing. Oh, wow. This feels pretty good. It's still really warm. It's still pretty flexible on the edges, but it's not, well, you can see it's starting to unmold here. Still don't think it's quite ready. Oh, maybe it is. Boy, that really did set up quickly. Okay, well, let's do it. I'm just kind of leaning this on the table a little bit. And just peeling this mold right off of here. Wow. Okay. Set that aside, and we have a tray. And I'm going to flip it over so you can see that that it's set in there on the bottom of the tray. Pretty cool, huh? But now here's the issue though with my pouring. I don't know whether you can see the texture on that. So that could be a problem for depending on what the use would need to be. But I think it's pretty cool. And they do say that, okay, there must have been a lump where I was pouring because on the back there's a spot that's kind of, I don't know whether you can see that, but it kind of goes down in. Interesting. Okay, I still kind of love it, and I'm real anxious to see what it looks like with paint. So let's keep moving here. So this little guy, I could easily like bend it, so it's not quite ready, but it's getting there. I mean, I could force the issue, but what's the point, right? You want to have it right. So I'm going to set aside. I'm going to set aside the coaster a second. And I'm going to pull the tray over here. And let's get started painting the tray. I'll try to get a little more flamingo on this one, a little less duck egg. We'll try to do a little more of the different colors. So I'll just try to get them in a no specific pattern. Just being real random with it. I didn't put the sawmill gravy on first. Haha. Okay, I'm going to go back and do that a little bit. I don't think it'll hurt anything, of course, because I might have had too much paint on the last one anyway. We might have to wait a while for it to dry. Using a wider brush here. I'm using a Dixie Belle Premium chip brush. This one's getting a little old, but these are nice brushes. I like them a lot. I like them because they don't shed, and that's a problem with most chip brushes that you get in the store that are really cheap, is they shed. All right, I'm just going to swirl the rest of the paint into that. Got some paint on my mold and my coaster. It's okay. It all goes together. It's like when your food mixes on your plate when you're little. And your mom says it all goes to the same place, right? In your belly. Okay, let's get some flamingo. I can get it out of the jar. Sometimes I leave some of the paper in there, and that when the paint gets a little harder, it gets harder. Shouldn't take the paint too long to dry either. Even though it's thick, it's still, it's because of it drying a little bit, it should dry pretty quickly. Okay, not gonna get quite so much as the last time here. That sawmill gravy paint is definitely drying already. Trying to spread some of this massive amount of paint that I put out. I think I'm going to get this thicker brush, wider brush, even though it has the tree frog green on it, but we're going to swirl some of this around, mix it up a little bit. Some of that sawmill gravy in there. All right, let's kind of wiggle it all. Mix it together, but don't make it muddy. That flamingo is just going to peek through there, I guess. It's funny, it's such a bright color, and it seems to be hidden. But I think when it dries, it's going to be pretty because I can see it in there. This kind of made up for the texture, I think. Still think this is going to be kind of a cool project. All right. Okay, I'm going to put this up a second. And let's see how this guy's doing. One of the things that I did read was that the best adhesion of paint is when you mold it, so unmold it. So look how easily that comes off. Great. So we have 2 coasters now. And of course we're you don't have to paint both sides. But but you could. Again, I forget the sawmill gravy. I'm just using the brush, just putting leftover paint on here. That's the one we seem to use the most of. What's really going to set these off is the gold. I think that's going to be the cool feature. Seem to use a lot more of that. Trying to use a little more paint so they all have the same kind of texture. And what are we missing on this one? Oh, the Dixie Belle Blue, which I have over here. I paint everywhere. Okay, and then let's get a little bit more of this vintage duck egg, because we really had a lot on the other ones. And this will make it kind of, there'll be a little more flamingo on it, but this vintage duck egg sort of gives it the same amount of paint and texture as the other ones do. Holding it up in the air because I'm running out of room. So again, we'll get this big brush here and just do a little wiggling. That makes it really cool. We could do this in a circular motion if we wanted to. Like wiggle it in a circle, because geodes kind of have a circular design. But I think it's kind of cool anyway. It's going to kind of look like some sort of stone, I think. Psychedelic stone with all these crazy colors, huh? Now that one has not a lot of the green in it, which is fine. Gonna put the screen down because I don't really want to hold these up too much, but you can see what that's looking like. And one thing we can do, I'm gonna just put a few of these paint brushes away and put a few lids on. I kept, this is a trick of mine. I already used the gold paint, so I put the brush that I used in a bag. So I'll get that one back out and put all these in the bag. And then what I do for cleanup is I just put some Dawn dish detergent and some warm water in here and seal it up and just let it sit a little bit until I'm ready to clean the brushes. So that's my handy dandy tip for the day, which I may have given you already, but I've got it twice now. We'll put a few lids on here. And they have a ranch over there. So I never throw my paint away. It's if it gets hard, you can add water to it. You can use it in a different way, like in a project where you have a little more texture. It doesn't always have to be the same consistency. Chalk mineral paint, it's a water-based paint, and water reactivates it. So don't ever throw paint away. There's lots of good uses when the paint gets a little thicker when it's older. Okay, that is not straight, but we're gonna go with it. See the consistency? I could do that. Over my keyboard I did that, but yet there's still about this much paint in there. I will definitely use that. So we have classes now in our studio on Thursday nights, and the first one is called Personalize It, and that's P-U-R-S-E, because you can bring a bag, a leather bag, or a vinyl bag, and we're going to use Dixie Belle paint and transfers and make them come to life. And then we have another class that we're going to do the same thing with boots. So those are fun, and you can wear them. It's not like they're works of art then. They are works of art, but you can wear them because they'll get sealed, and they'll be definitely rough and tumble. People will just wonder where you got them and go a little crazy for them. All right, so I'm going to get the gold paint out here. And again, this one is Dixie Belle's Moonshine Metallics in Gold Digger. And I seriously love this color. I only recently fell in love with this color because when I first started using Moonshine Metallics, I first fell in love with, what is it called? See, I can't remember its name now. Steel Magnolia. Still a beautiful color. Then I started using Wedding Bell, which is a very soft gold, and then this one now, and it's so amazing. It's just an amazing color. So I'm going to put the screen down a little bit because I'm going to do this a little bit gently because of the handles. I'm just going to kind of lift it up because the other paint's not dry. So I'm just going to lift it up and, oh boy, I better wipe that off first. Didn't realize I was dripping down over. And here comes Grizz to help us out tonight. Okay, this is a baby wipe, so I'm just using a baby wipe to get this excess paint off. I'll grab another one here. So Thursday night is trick or treat night here. So I'll probably give out some treats at the store and then come home and wait for my grandkids to come. It's also Lainey's birthday. She's turning 3. So I'll have a little birthday celebration, a little trick or treat. Kids won't be wound up or anything. Okay, go pretty good on this one. All right, while I have this in my hand, I'm just going to kind of hold it up in the air. And I'm just going to brush the edges. This might be best done when it's dry, but you know my patience. I've already told you there is none. Sometimes I'm very patient, but obviously on a live, I'm trying to get it done for you so that we can see a finished product. So that's why I have little patience to wait for paint to dry on a live. And I can use a heat gun to speed up the process. It's loud, so we'll just kind of do it this way. I guess you can't see, huh? I had it down for the tray painting. So I was holding this coaster up in the air and just painting the sides of it with the Moonshine Metallics and the gold. Gold Digger. This is definitely going to need a second coat when this dries. I love Moonshine Metallics though because it has like a seems like it has a built-in sealer to it. So it has such a great texture. I also, because of the finish that chalk mineral paint gives you, I might take a gloss sealer and seal these. And I think they'll be really nice and shiny. And you can certainly add to it as well. I would like to play around a little bit and do in some of these with the clear epoxy and then tint it a little bit with some paint and then pour it in. That might be fun. So can you see the edge on there is gold? So I'm going to put this down. We'll do the other one in the air as well. Yeah, because the more layers that you put on here, the more it's going to build up and look really cool. That's weird. I have a little spot that was, I don't know how to describe it. It was just like a little piece of the epoxy that was kind of rogue. This top is really still wet, so that's why I'm being so careful and slow. These are pretty. I actually really like them. There's another piece of epoxy like that. It's funny, it's like the paint almost disappears or something. At least from my angle. But it's on there, I can see it. Okay, gonna let this one dry, but I think that's gonna be really cool. I don't want to drop it, but I think it looks neat. Okay, I'm gonna put the screen down and work on the tray a little bit. Okay. So this one is much easier because it has some handles. And I am getting some paint on there. But I am going to put a second coat. So I think I did tell you in the beginning that I painted these with the Moonshine Metallics. But I'm going to give them a second coat. But this is so handy to have this handle. And that gave that paint an opportunity to dry a little bit. And that green is mixing a little bit with the gold, and it actually looks pretty cool. I think we're up to 365 subscribers. One for every day of the year. I really want to get to that 1,000 mark so that we can do a better job for you on these live videos. So I can actually see what you're seeing and just be a better experience for us. So share these videos with your friends and neighbors. Sure do appreciate it. Trying to think of a really good contest to get to get there, to get us there. Next stop 500, and then on to the 1,000. But it's kind of snowballing. It's like the more subscribers we get, the faster it's going. Okay, so I went the whole way around with the gold, and I really think it's looking pretty cool. And definitely another coat is going to be even better. I have to wait till it dries, but I just want to throw a little bit more in there because there was a lot of green. But it's really blending together, and it's just a good look. Okay, and I'm going to, while this is sitting here, just use the gold and put a little bit more on these handles. This actually, I usually often sell the things in the store that I make on videos when I'm doing either a show or my lives if I like what I did, this one may end up being a gift just because of the handles. I may have to give this to the person whose kitchen these handles came from because they were not cool. Not as kitchen cupboard handles. They were, first of all, they were like iron color. And then they had this back plate behind them, and they just looked like something that came out of an old castle. So they're really getting a new lease on life with this Moonshine Metallics. And that the actual top of the coaster itself could have some gold in it too. That would also look cool. So they definitely need another coat on the sides. Right now the bottom is just like that. Trying to think of different things you could do. You could probably just use those little, like put a coat of paint on there and just use those little clear plastic round things that like they're protectors for feet and stuff. Does that make sense? But anyway, those things. They could probably sit on the bottom, or even felt. You could put felt on the bottom of it. But I am really digging these. I think they're pretty cool. A lot more than I thought I would like them, but I really do like them. So, when I was saying about doing samples, so I also did the Around the Alleghenies Money Talk segment, and that is airing today and tonight on Fox 8. That's a local channel here. And then also in the day on channel 23, it's on in the morning. So it's on like at 10:30 or something at night, 10:35, the replay on Fox. So I'm probably gonna go watch myself this evening and see what it looks like. They always post them, but that way I can just watch it on TV. But I keep those samples and usually sell those in the shop. And so that's what I do with them because I don't make them for nothing. But I appreciate you watching, certainly. And we're definitely back to doing step-by-step furniture videos on Saturday. I hope you caught this past Saturday. We did a vanity that was in our store in the rentals and wasn't getting rented. So I decided to give it a makeover and let's see if we can sell it. It got a lot of good comments and everything on the chalk mineral paint page. It's a mouthful on Facebook. So I think it's a pretty nice piece. So I am going to sign off here. So we've been on almost an hour tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and definitely stay tuned to the social media, La Vintage Decor on Instagram and La Vintage Decor Altoona on Facebook, for some pictures of these when they're all finished. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.